take responsibility, apologize, but do not self-denigrate. Do not self-denigrate, because such self-denigrations come out as looking at yourself from the way other people look at you. So this video is about the incident that happened in Rwanda recently. And this has been discussed on social media, especially on X, formerly Twitter. So the responses from Rwandans, also from South Sudanese, are interesting. And this is why I'm making this video. The first one is from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. It's really encouraging. The way he responded is very responsible, very restrained. He posted this on X. And some of the things he said are really coming from a position of leadership, which I think many of us, whether you're South Sudanese or you are from Rwanda, you must appreciate. So here are some of the things he said on X. Dear Rwandans on X, that is RWX, I have been informed of the news of the provocations and clashes between Rwanda and South Sudanese youth. I would like to remind you that violence among the youth has no place in Rwandan society, and the words being used targeting South Sudanese citizens in particular are against Rwandan values. So that's the ambassador. That's the Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So this is really, really encouraging. It's restrained, it's responsible. That's how leaders should respond. So he goes on to say, Rwandans must learn from our history and to be characterized by unity and tolerance, eliminating conflicts and discrimination of any kind. Let us continue to trust the security and justice institutions because they are the ones who conduct proper investigations by the law. So the second part is the police. Violent acts are not acceptable. All people, including foreigners, must abide by the law as required. Violators will be punished according to the laws of the country. We assure you that this matter will be investigated. So that's the police. And also this is another statement from the minister. As we enter the festive season, I encourage everyone to celebrate unity properly, promoting events characterized by peace and harmony among the youth. Let us all work together and maintain the security of our country while continuing to welcome youth from abroad. So this is really encouraging. And that's genuine leadership. Now, here is what surprised me from some of the ways South Sudanese responded. So the first one is really good. And I think it's how also it's measured. It's how we should respond as South Sudanese. And this is Ladjor. On behalf of South Sudanese in Rwanda, I apologize for the misconduct of some of our students. Rwanda, our peaceful sister nation, deserves respect. Let's resolve this amicably. Deport the culprits to set an example, fostering unity and discipline for our communities. So this is really good. The caution I would actually say here is, because the incident has not been investigated by the police, so whether these young people must be deported, that is something that should come from the police. And then the response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they can decide in the legal justice system what to do with these young people. But as of now, we still don't know what really happened and what provoked the incident. So, but what Ladjor is saying is something that is responsible. That's how people should respond. Take responsibility and also encourage good relations. Now, the other statement is what really surprised me, and that this is where I need to say a little more. It's from someone called Awak. So this is what she says. It's time we South Sudanese stop fooling ourselves and face reality. we are an embarrassment, and our behavior is disgraceful. Everywhere we go, Kenya, Uganda, and now Rwanda, we drag our bad manners along with us like a badge of shame. The recent fight in Kigali is yet another disgusting display of how uncivilized and chaotic we've become. We have no respect for others, no ability to coexist peacefully, and no self-control. Instead of learning from our mistakes or adapting to new environments, we insist on acting like we are above reproach. The response is understandable, because if you are a South Sudanese and you live in East Africa and you see East Africans, Ugandans, Kenyans, and now Rwandans saying things that are, criticizing South Sudanese because of antisocial behaviors, you feel a certain way as a South Sudanese. So the response is a visceral response, but I think we should be careful about self-denigration. The statement from Lajur is how we should respond. Take responsibility, apologize, but do not self-denigrate. Do not self-denigrate, because such self-denigrations come out as looking at yourself from the way other people look at you. So seeing yourself from the eyes of others, it's really dangerous, because it can be exploited by other people. So if you see the statement from Lajur and the one from Awak, they're two different statements. But the ones from Awak is self-denigrating. She's using terms like uncivilized, chaotic, and she uses we as if this is something that is done by all South Sudanese. This is not something from all South Sudanese. So when she says we are an embarrassment, that's self-denigration. That's not an appropriate response. An appropriate response is like this. You apologize for the misconduct of some of our students. So he's very specific. Some of our students, not all of us. So, and you can see the response from the officials. I'm not going to read the vitriol from Rwandans. I'm not going to read that. But this is something that we need to remember. Now, to finalize the video, this is what I'm going to say. And before I say that, I need to remind you that South Sudanese easily become a target. And if you're a foreigner if you're someone in a foreign country, any incident, any antisocial incident is easily magnified. People don't focus on the good things you do. They look at the little things. They look at the little things you do that are antisocial, and they get magnified. And because of hidden or some sort of latent xenophobia, which is inherent in every country, even in South Sudan, people usually look for excuses to sort of justify why you should be kicked out of the country. So if you do things like this, people will use them and magnify them. Some of you remember what happened in Australia, the so-called African gang, South Sudanese gang. So this is a short clip of something to remind you about how South Sudanese easily become a target. And that's why I'm really insistent that we avoid self-denigration. Take responsibility, be responsible, but do not self-denigrate.
There is real concern about street crime in Melbourne. There is real concern about Sudanese gangs.
The events that have taken place over the last 24 months make me rethink my place in Victoria and calling Victoria home.
Gang culture with an emphasis on African youth.
Could you describe them as gangs?
Yeah, you can describe them as gangs.
There's tension this week on whether
this has been a difficult time. I tend to describe it as feeling under siege.
This is why we need to be really careful about how we approach these things. Now, Rwanda has shown over the last last 30 years or so that it's becoming a peaceful society. It has found a way to ensure that different ethnic groups live together. So my caution to South Sudanese in Rwanda is that this country is a country that is still traumatized by the genocide that happened in 1994. So any incidents like this remind them, and that's why you see the Minister of Foreign Affairs insisting on unity, insisting on non-violence and the values of Rwanda they've built for the last 30 years. So we need to be really careful, and I urge family members who have children or relatives in Rwanda to reach out to them, to stress to them the need to remember that this is a country that went through trauma, and when we take violence like that, it reminds people of what they don't want to see. So Rwandans may be really angry at South Sudanese because of that trauma. Now, what I want to say to people who are generalizing this, these are young people. These are young people young people act like young people everywhere. If they get drunk, they fight. This is not something unique to South Sudanese. So the idea that South Sudanese are the most violent in East Africa is nonsensical. Violence is inherent in every society. But because South Sudanese are foreigners in these countries, then whatever they do is easily magnified. So we should be careful when we are guests in foreign countries. We should conduct ourselves responsibly. But we should not self-denigrate. We should apologize, we should take responsibility, but we should not self-denigrate to talk about being uncivilized, no. You see this everywhere. The only thing is, in every country, you will not see Rwandans speaking about their own violence in their own country. They're not going to show you their own violence. Kenyans are not going to show you their own violence. Ugandans are not going to show you their own violence. But because you are a foreigner, your violence counts more than your good. And that's why you have to be really careful. And the other thing is about colorism, that comes out anytime something is said about South Sudanese in East Africa. There's nothing much I can say, but this is a colonial mindset. So South Sudanese are the darkest in East Africa, not the only, because we have other ethnic groups in East Africa, in Uganda and in Kenya, who are equally as dark as South Sudanese. But South Sudanese, the majority of South Sudanese are dark. So this issue of colorism comes up. It's a way people make themselves feel good. I write a lot about, and I'll give you the link of one of the articles where I tackle with one of my co-authors this issue of colorism. It's colonial mindset. But there's nothing much we can say about it because it makes people feel good to look down on South Sudanese based on their appearance. We live in a Eurocentric world. Right. So thank you.